Kia ora, Ahsoka releases this month, or maybe it's this week, or maybe it's already been out. It kind of depends on when I make this, and it depends on when you watch this. LEGO Star Wars fans everywhere were excited by this news because of hopes that we may end up getting a LEGO Ghost remake. A set that many fans really want but missed at release because we all slept on Rebels and its unpopularity. Now, Rebels is one of the most popular things in the Star Wars canon, and has a very devout audience of Star Wars fans. So, scalpers decided to use that against us because of course they did. What originally retailed for $160 just 9 years ago is now listed at being valued at $1,131 sealed, and that is mostly due to a misprinted figure. This is the Ghost, released in 2014 for, like I said, 160 NZD. This is actually the complete edition that includes the Phantom, which was a separate set that retailed for around $60 apparently. How do they come to these prices? The Phantom is listed now at being $211 brand new, which is ridiculous. I am very lucky to have this. My partner bought this for me as a birthday present some years ago. This is a crazy set that actually just increases in its artificial value over the years. I wanted to take a look at this before the brand new one releases because I'm still a little 50-50 on whether or not I should get it. Not too sure yet. It looks gorgeous, and it is a remake that needed to happen, but it's close to $300. I'm gonna start with the minifigures in this review so that I can address the elephant in the room. This is Kanan. He released in a few more sets after this one, and he did have one other exclusive variant where he was blind. The original release of this figure, for those who don't know, actually included a Kanan Jarrus figure with an inaccurate hair color and printing, opting for a black color rather than the accurate brown. Eventually that figure was swapped out, and this figure would be the one that is re-released in sets later on. But the LEGO Star Wars community, being the LEGO Star Wars community, saw the investment value that this suddenly had and began to immediately hoard and flip that figure, which I think is funny because apparently the LEGO Star Wars community is very displeased when it comes to the inaccuracy of, say, clone troopers and holes in their helmets. But Kanan here having the entirely wrong colored hair is triple digits value apparently. The regular Kanan figure, my one here, is listed at being worth around $30, which is actually a bit odd to me, but that's mostly due to the fact that this figure hasn't been available for some years now. That black haired variant is worth around 500 NZ or so. I'm glad that I have the regular one here because personally I think that this is a pretty good one, and the black haired one would have actually annoyed me. He uses that ponytail hairpiece that's really cool, and he has a blue lightsaber. A blaster was also included in this set. I really like his green colors used for his outfit, which I don't think is a very common color on Star Wars minifigures like this. He's really cool. This is Hera, who sees a brand new remake this year based on a live-action Mary Elizabeth Winstead likeness. She's valued at around $60 or so because apparently, I only just learned this, she only released in this set and a little microfighter of the Ghost, which is actually how I originally got Hera a few years ago. I didn't realize that those were the only two sets that she ever released in. So for a very brief time, she was suddenly very easy to get, very cheap compared to this as well. She has simpler printing compared to Kanan, but that Twi'lek headdress is very detailed with those really cool markings there, and it makes up for the lack of the details. Her headdress is a full plastic piece. Sometimes LEGO would use a rubberized material for something like this, so it's cool to have one that's fully plastic. Double-sided face, but I do have to complain about those eyes. No pupils just looks weird, and I don't understand why they've gone with this route. It is a design choice that LEGO has decided to go with because Ahsoka uses this as well. I strongly dislike the style for these figures. I can't think of a single good reason as to why they don't have pupils besides the fact that I guess it makes them look alien, but it just doesn't match that source material. They have pupils in the cartoons. I don't understand this. This is Zeb for a lot of people. He is the last remaining missing member of the Rebels crew. He is exclusive to the set and tragically has remained as such. He's never been remade. He is so sought after, in fact, the Lasat species head mold has never been used in a set since this release either. He is a very desirable figure. This figure is valued at almost 200 NZ as well, so if you've been counting, more than half of the price for this set is based on these three figures alone. Unbelievable. He is a really cool figure though, which just annoys me more. I hope for your sake, viewer who doesn't have this set, that LEGO does remake him ASAP. He features some very simple printing, which is a shame, but the colors really stand out here to Hera and Kanan nicely. It's a very colorful group. But we do have to talk about this accessory. I don't understand what the thought behind this is. It's two blasters and a lightsaber hilt, which is supposed to represent that staff that he has that's also part blaster, part energy sword thing, part bow staff. I guess I can kind of see why they would release it like this, but it just doesn't work. It needs a lot of modifying. And then the final figure that was included in this was a Stormtrooper. I didn't realize until I actually built the Rebels line that they use their own version of the Stormtrooper. There's this light blue streak on the helmet here, and that's what makes these Rebel troopers different from the regular ones. As far as I can tell, tell, this was the most unique thing about this trooper and what made him special. Though these troopers were packed in just about every single rebel set that needed a stormtrooper, so he's not that special. The angry clone face is represented here. Some of you really grew to dislike this head, but I only just started getting back into LEGO Star Wars right as they were taking that head away, so my collection of these is quite small. This is the Ghost herself, a large build that has a lot of special things on offer on the outside, but we do have a pretty disappointing inside, unfortunately, given what the source material is. More on that in a second though. As far as the large Star Wars spaceships go, this one feels pretty unique, not only for its size, but for its shape and colors. The white coloring is nice, and I don't think we have too many white ships in Star Wars, but these misc areas of random drops of color is what really makes it stand out. Sand green and sections of that cartoon yellow orange, it's really nice. Bluish gray seems to be the color that makes up most of the skeleton. Now famously, the Millennium Falcon's design comes from the shape of a hamburger, and I think the Ghost really seems to use a similar inspiration. The LEGO set has some nice shaping involved where the front and end sections slope downwards and the escape pods extrude out onto the side, almost like handles or at least landmarks for me to be able to grab. Let's start investigating the ship. By the front section we have these opening slots. That's a feature used on other LEGO sets. The core feature of these is for storage, which is appreciated, but these always feel a little lackluster for me. I personally just cram my leftover accessories inside the ship. This area houses some extra ammo for the cannons that are located underneath that ship. I'll give them this, at least this feels a bit more in-universe than how other Star Wars sets make this feature work. It's because the ammo actually resides up top in the wing itself. The other side feature is a small area that fits for a lightsaber and a blaster to be housed. I do really like it when lightsaber storage is considered in a vehicle set. The other flaps here can move, but this is just so that they can achieve that sloped design. The main cockpit area features a small swivel gun up at the front, and I guess it's manned by whoever is sitting in that area. Next are these escape pods, which feature in the middle of the set. Both pods have the same design as one another, inside and out. I like the inclusion of these pods quite a bit. They don't feature too much going on inside, which does weaken them just a little bit, but it is very satisfying to take these out and plug them back in again. This back section here shows the docking area and the engines. The rockets are really big on this set, which felt really fun to put together, and they are complemented by these smaller ones that are found below. The docking area has a lot of standing room, of course, but that's not really what the purpose of this area is. This is a section that will disappoint a lot of people because technically it's incomplete. There's some really funny scaling issues here as well, because this door clearly is supposed to lead into the next area, but for a minifigure to fit through here is going to require a lot of effort on your part, physically and in your imagination. This is an area that seems really cool on first glance, but it's entirely just for show in hopes that you can finish the build later with the Phantom. The turret up top here just slides into its section. I do really love features like this in sets. It's very minimal for what it is, but a figure can easily be placed inside by removing that top section first, and then it slides into place. It has full 360-degree rotation too. Which now leads us into the main cockpit finally, which has enough room for 2 minifigures. The set features 2 different ways of entering. Like the rest of the set, there's almost nothing inside here, and you can see this is where I've kept some of the storage for the Phantom. Directly above that seating area and before the turret is the storage area for the set. There's actually enough standing room in here for a minifigure, say the only minifigure of the Rebels crew that was excluded from either Ghost or Phantom. And the set can still close up with all members on board. Unfortunately, this is it for the inside features. The Ghost is regularly shown in the show for having unique details inside the ship, especially given that Sabine is frequently repainting areas. It is very disappointing that a set like the Falcon can always include much needed hangout areas, but the Ghost can't. It's now time to move on to the Phantom, which is this little tiny spaceship that actually completes the build in total. This is Ezra from the set. He wasn't an exclusive minifigure, though he included a really special element that I really like. He included a blaster, but infamously, no lightsaber was included in any of the Ezra Rebel sets up until the next wave. He's nice, but I personally find the printing to be quite cheap and simple. There's something really weird about the way that it looks on his torso, and it might just be a me thing, but I don't see the full detail here compared to, say, Kanan. He featured a double-sided face that had a puzzled look that I really like for Ezra. The special piece that he came with was the Imperial Cadet Trooper helmet, which I think is so cool. I don't think I've seen this piece since. You can see how different it is to a regular Trooper's helmet here. And this is Chopper, who was also getting a remake this year with Hera in the Ghost set. Yes, only 2 Rebels characters from these sets are being remade, at least for now. Chopper is an interesting droid though. He used a new body piece that appears to be smaller than other astromechs. Some of his printing is a little wonky, but not really enough to bother me too much. Chopper does have a little dish atop his head that LEGO couldn't replicate, so they just print it on instead. You could look into putting a stud up there or something maybe. The Phantom is a pretty cool looking shuttle build. I don't think it's worth the $60 that it released at, especially since these figures did not remain exclusive, but it does complement that Ghost nicely. The Phantom has this red torpedo piece, which you saw the spare of earlier in this video. That shooter is located at the top of the set. Apparently the cockpit piece is actually exclusive to this, the more you know. There's a little seating area for Ezra to be placed in, with a little control panel as well. My favourite feature of this set is how to access the inside of the ship. You remove the entire roof as one whole piece. Crammed doesn't even scratch the surface in describing the inside of this set.
It's awfully small.
I'd say it's awfully cozy.
Chopper has his own little cubby hole here, which is great for his storage. The roof also has this door on the back of it that can open up to reveal a small little storage area for that helmet that's separated from Chopper's little area. The Phantom also has this neat little trick where it can expand its wings into a flight position. It's really satisfying doing this, and I really like that overall style, which reminds me a lot of the Bad Batch shuttle. The wings can spread out like this and actually hold on to the weight of the set, which is always a bonus. It's a cool feature that does add to some value, but it will only be functionable if you want to separate it from the Ghost. For conjoining this set, you need to just simply open the door on the back, and the Phantom can now slide in. It's very secure in here actually, and it does complete the build. It's very cheeky when LEGO decide to split the builds into other sets, but if my channel is anything to go by, it's proof that it works. That's my look at the LEGO Ghost and Phantom from the first wave release of LEGO Star Wars Rebels. They are 2 very solid sets that complement each other very nicely in my opinion, but it also was needed to be remade. It's actually the Phantom 2 that's being remade over the Phantom 1 for the new set, and both sets will be packaged in together this time round, which is great, but that's because the Phantom 2 is significantly smaller than the first time it was made. I think LEGO's audience have spoken up and made it quite clear that they want Rebels to come back in sets, so I'm hopeful that with the new Hera, Chopper and Sabine, that an Ezra, Kanan and Zeb will follow too. If you enjoyed this little retrospective look at an older LEGO Star Wars set, liking and subscribing does help to support this channel's ventures into more videos like this. Ka kite anō.